The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our the first of our ANZ webinar series, Languages Using Smart Notebook. We hope that you have all had a wonderful start to Term 1 and have enjoyed getting to know all of you new students this term. Before we get started, as always, a few housekeeping notes. All of our webinars are recorded for review, and notebooks will be available to you. At this stage, we're emailing them out to our attendees, but in the future, we'll be ready for download next to our webinars for review. Also, if you have any questions, please pop them down into our questions tab. And Courtney's going to flick to the next page for me to show you where that is. It's just over to the side. It says questions. Pop your questions down there and we will get to them at the end. So in some Northern Territory schools, our Indigenous students have cultural lessons outside with elders or members of their community. This helps strengthen their connections to the land, their ancestors and spirits, their stories and their past. It is really inspirational and very moving to see such love and care being placed into the passing down of traditions and the teaching of their people. Courtney and Daniel Wicks are on a mission to help classroom teachers all over the Northern Territory to complement and support these crucial cultural lessons inside of their classrooms through the use of technology and gamification. Welcome, Courtney.
Hello, everybody. How you going?
Court, do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself before we start?
Sure. Okay, so I'm a school teacher myself. I'm currently having a break from working in the education department and I've joined my husband Daniel in our business, and we're Wixie's Educational Technologies. We do lots of technologies around the Northern Territory. One of our biggest ones is Smart. I got my Smart Certified Trainer last year, I think it was, and ever since then been putting myself into schools and trying to get teachers on board working with our Smart Notebook. That's it.
Fantastic. Now, Courtney, you've just come back from the Tiwi Islands, is that right?
Yeah, so I went out there at the end of last year, I think it was week 5, to work with some of the teachers out there, getting them using their smart panels to the best of their abilities. So it was an interesting experience out there, definitely.
And so for everyone that's listening, whereabouts is that?
All right. Tiwi Islands is located, it was Bathurst Island, and it's about 80k from Darwin. So it's a short flight away. I'll just show you what the plane looks like. You can see that on the screen.
So I'd imagine you get to travel on those types of planes a lot up in the Northern Territory, do you, Court?
Yes, absolutely. So your first time's a bit scary, but from then on it's pretty awesome, and the views complement the plane, I guess. Well, they actually show the views there if you can see it. That's just one heading out to, that's one of the island, part of the island there, Bathurst.
And can you tell me about the demographic makeup of the school? So how many students they have?
So the 2 schools that I worked with out there are part of the Catholic education system up here in the Northern Territory. I work with MCPS, MCPS, which is the primary school, and it's about 98% Indigenous from preschool to year 6, with roughly 250 students. And then Xavier Catholic College, they're right next door to each other, is a year 7 to year 13, 100% Indigenous, roughly 120 students there.
Wow.
So
and
different teachers from both high school and primary mixed in together. So it was a really nice experience, actually.
Yeah, that would have been fantastic. Well, and what type of access to technology and internet do they have in the Tiwi Islands?
Okay, so the internet is, it's not too bad, but it does cut out if there's storms, which happens quite a lot in the wet season. But you know what? The teachers do a great job using what resources they have available to them. So, being able to use your smart panel, even when there is a storm, they really do a great job to continue their learning for the students over there.
And they have smart panels in all of their classrooms?
Not in all of them, they're getting there. So we're working with them to make sure that all teachers have the access to panels. I know some of them are on trolleys at the moment, so they do share, but we are working with those schools to fit them out with panels, and then we'll head out there again to do some more training with those teachers who are new.
Great. And what about their connections to the rest of Australia and other communities? Because I can assume, I would assume that it is quite isolating where they are.
It is, and a lot of the time, the students there want to stay there. That's their home. So they don't, a lot of them do venture out to do footy because that's one of their biggest sports over there, AFL, and the students are amazing. So, but it's leaving the island, leaving their home is the biggest thing. So a lot of them do stay, but some of them do leave and they get picked up by footy clubs.
Right, okay. So what are some of the things that you've been working on with the teachers there in the Tiwi Island and the students?
So we've been starting just basic, creating notebooks that are engaging for students. So a lot of smart lab activities. And those smart lab activities include using their language. So they use Tiwi language over on Bathurst Island. So I worked with a couple of teachers out there on creating Tiwi language lab activities where students can match up English to Tiwi, but it's not also teaching the students, it's teaching the teachers that are out there who don't know Tiwi, so that those teachers can then take on a bit of responsibility of helping those young students use their Tiwi language.
Fantastic. And I would assume that you have English as a second language up there as well. Do you have how many people up there are speaking English as well?
Oh, they all definitely speak English, but their Tiwi language is their prime language.
And so it's really important that we establish those connections, and those teachers are using that type of language in their classroom to complement those cultural lessons and the language that they're using at home. Yeah,
absolutely. And within all those classrooms, there are lots of teachers' assistants, and majority of those are actually from the community. So, and they find that students obviously respond a lot better to those people who are within the community.
Fantastic. And you mentioned using ClassLab. How are you bringing gamification into this?
So I will just show you. So this was made, and there is a video which I'll send, I'm happy to send out, of the Indigenous teacher making this. So it was just using Match It Up. The teacher wanted to make sure that her students were going to use both Tiwi language and English language within the classroom. So she came up with the words that she wanted that were going to be predominantly used in the classroom. So I'm just going to move one little thing out the way so I can see it. And then she started to create the Match It Up. So can I send this out to people?
Absolutely. If you would like to jump on hellosmart.com onto your browsers, if you're on your iPhones, on your Androids, on your laptops, wherever you are, if you're connected to the internet, jump onto the hellosmart.com website, join as a guest, and feel free to join Courtney's class 4248, and you can have a go at using the Tiwi language and seeing if you can match the Tiwi language up with the English word that it represents.
So there is, I think it was on this one, there was, so 2 words, and then we had a big conversation about this, mean this, it sounds the same, but it's pronounced differently, so it obviously means something else. So you'll have to really try and see how you go. It's muraka and then maraka. So you'll see how you go matching those 2 up that are spelled exactly the same. Just like the English language, we have words that sound the same and can look the same but mean completely different things. They do as well.
Thank you, Cassie and Beth, for joining.
Yeah.
And Elise, well done. And we might get Courtney to give us a few minutes just to see how we go and then show us the answers possibly. And I can imagine this would be fantastic for the non-Indigenous teachers who are teaching in the classroom as well, to incorporate this into lessons such as science and English and mathematics, so that they're really integrating the native language into all of their teaching learning.
Yeah, absolutely. And the teachers over there, they do such an amazing job of incorporating Tiwi language into their classroom. So it's really quite inspiring to see them, learning the language so that they can make sure that their students are bringing, using their culture within their classroom as well.
And that's really important for their ties to who they are, and that's great. Court, I might get you to give us a quick preview of the answers here for us and maybe how to play this game.
Okay, so I'm just going to move. I don't know if you can see, I've got all my stuff open here. Quite a few people playing now. Oh, this will be hard for me because I've done it in so long, so we're going to see how we go. Nope. Hello.
And so I've noticed that you've ensured that the feedback happens straight away, so they don't go together and you have to check at the end. If you're incorrect, they bounce back. Yes,
exactly. Yeah. So that's really important for the students. I think you want them to succeed, and they want to know that they're getting it right and wrong, I guess. I'm going to try this one. Sorry, guys, I haven't done this in a long time. It's not it. I'm pretty sure that's hurry, but I don't know if that's the right. Yep, that's right. How's everyone going playing along?
I'm actually copying you.
I'm not doing a very good job, actually. No.
And so how are the students playing these? Are they playing them on the board? Are they playing them with their devices?
No, so it's purely just boards at the moment, mainly because they'll most likely do it in small groups anyway, but just the internet out there is just not coping with, well, it's actually Darwin itself, Northern Territory itself, struggles a little bit with our internet. So most of the time we're not sending things out to students, we're just doing it as in small groups on the board or as a whole class if it's an introductory lesson.
Yep. And how is the engagement levels of the students? Are they enjoying these types of games?
Absolutely amazing. So it's really good. Oh, good. So that's right. So they, hurry and car are the same word, but it's pronounced differently. So.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. And so I think using gamification to preserve the Indigenous languages up there is just brilliant. What was the response like from the teachers' perspectives?
Oh, absolutely amazing. They couldn't believe the resources that they get from just having Smart and Smart Notebook. So I went to, on our next lot of slides, I've just been out to Santa Teresa, which is in Alice Springs, and I sat down with one of the teachers at lunchtime, and she said, I can't wait to use it in my classroom because she knows that her students are going to engage with this technology. And like she said, it's so easy to create something. It's not going to take her all night to create an activity for her students to do. So there you go, there's your answer.
Good job, Court. And I would assume that they would be saving all of these lists in their list management system, so they don't have to keep typing these out. They can use these in multiple games. So you can make the same types of games but with the same lists and words, which would be great for vocab building. So do you have some examples of some other examples there?
Yep, so we have an activity builder. So this was just an activity that we did. It was mainly to practice writing on the board and turning it to text. So it was an interesting activity. You can see that I'm moving that one around. We had to group the words because we were still learning to write on the board, so some of the letters didn't quite make it to text, but it was a great effort from that teacher to create that activity builder. So we did it in language and in English. So we're describing activity.
And so can you talk us through how that teacher has built this lesson? Because what I'm noticing is that if it's correct, it's disappearing into the animal, and if it's incorrect, it's bouncing out.
Yes, so we use, let's reset that. We use the activity builder over on mine's on the left, yours might be on the right. And you can identify your objects, and you're building an activity for your students. So it's very similar to lab, but I suppose you've got a little bit more control about what you want to do, put in your backgrounds and things like that if you don't want to use the templates. It's quite easy. You just have to identify an object. I want to reset those. Edit. So as you can see here, when we were building it, we were looking at the crocodile first. So we added a picture of the crocodile and then popped the words that suited, that reflected what the crocodile was and the describing words, and then pop the describing words for the turtle. And you simply just drag them into the area that you want to be accepted. So all the words for the crocodile that are accepted into the crocodile go at the top, and then those words that aren't related to the crocodile go at the bottom, and they're rejected, so they bounce back. And you do the same with the turtle. So you edit, and as you can see down the bottom, it actually is really handy that it has these ticks and crosses so that you can make sure that the correct words are accepted and rejected from these objects. So that's an activity builder, and that's found in the little puzzle piece down the side under activity builder.
Fantastic, Courtney. And so how difficult were these games to build with the teachers, and did they find it quite an easy process to do? How well versed were they in SMART before you got there?
So not a lot of SMART experience at all. So I had about roughly 2 hours with 2 teachers at a time. So because in a community there's obviously not relief teachers readily available, it was a case of the school had to put together a program that allowed release for those teachers to attend some SMART training. So they were given 2 hours of training where I delivered a workshop with them, and then there was a half an hour play where they could play around and make some things. So the activity builder didn't take them long at all to make, and then once we'd made one together, they were already off making their own, so there was not a lot of experience there. But once they know how to do it, it's just so simple for them to do that they're taking it straight on board to create. I think they were going to create a jobs list where the kids had to put their name into the job that they were going to do. So it was quite interesting to see what they were going to come up with, because as we know, the activity builder and pretty much anything in SMART is only, you're only limited to your imagination.
That's right. And I can see you've got a few other slides there. Do you have a few other things that you were creating with the teachers there?
Yeah, so this is Santa Teresa. This is about 2 hours outside of Alice Springs, driving on a dirt road. So that's the drive there heading to Santa Teresa. The road was actually pretty good when we went out there. And then here's some of the teachers here creating a match-up. This is another language in there. Sorry, I'll just pop back there. The language that they speak out in Santa, have it. Is Eastern Central, I want to say Arenton. I'm sorry to anyone who knows how to say that word, but I am struggling. So that is a completely different Indigenous language. As you know, there are hundreds. And they were talking about family. So the teacher, one of the first things that she was going to do when her class started, because they hadn't actually started school yet, was to talk about family. So she wanted to create an engaging activity for her students to match the English word to the Eastern Central language. And this is what she came up with, which was fantastic. And it only took about 10 minutes for her to first come up with it and then create it. So it was a really great time for them to be able to do that. So this is just working with some of the teachers out at Santa, having a really good time. So everyone likes to sort of compete with each other, and we played a few games just to get them engaged, and you know what, they absolutely loved it. And those teachers out there are just absolutely incredible. We had about 3 hours together and we powered through, and you know what, they got so much out of it, and I can't wait to head back out there and see where they're at.
It looks like they're having lots and lots of fun.
Yeah, that's my favourite there.
And so they were obviously building quite a lot of content that they were going to use. This was just before term 1 started, is that right? So they're building content that they're about to use this term.
Yeah. So every workshop that I run, I don't really call it a professional development session. I call it a workshop because, you know, teachers' time is precious. So when we're there, we're building for purpose. So I always say to my teachers, you know, think of something that you could use in your classroom when you leave here. Straight away, don't make something that's just you're never going to use again. Make something that's purposeful, meaningful for your class today. So that's what we were doing. We were building a notebook that they could go directly into their classroom on day 1 and use, whether it was a welcome, we want to know where our kids are at, so we want to do an accessible task, so like a smart response, which is a bit harder out there because of the lack of internet. But you know what? They work with what they've got out there, and they honestly do an amazing job. So that's what we were. Yeah.
It's so great to see. Congratulations on such an amazing job to those teachers that are doing these incredible things and really just experiencing SMART for the first time. I know that a lot of them in the Tiwi Islands have boards in their room and have now got SMART and have an amazing resource in yourself. So I'm really, really excited to see some of the incredible things that are happening this term from all of those workshops that you've been running. So in saying that, what are your plans from here? What's next?
What's next? Well, we're pretty booked. We've got lots of training happening within the Darwin region with lots of Darwin schools. So I'm working with some of our remote schools to get back out there. It's just timing. We're in our wet season at the moment, so it's hard to drive to a lot of places, so we've got to fly out there. But again, with the wet season, we just have to play it by ear, unfortunately. So a lot of that remote training will probably just be held off until the beginning of the drive so that we can take a drive out there and spend some time with a lot of those people. Obviously, Tiwi Islands is a fly, but you can take a barge over there if we really wanted to. So we'll see where we're at and see where the schools want to go. So I'm hoping by term 2, I've revisited a lot of those schools to just reinforce what we're trying to get out, which is everything about our students, a student-centred approach, and that's what SMART's all about.
Fantastic. And in saying that, would yourselves and the schools that you work with be willing to share their experiences and games and content with other schools in our SMART community?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we're trying to build our own community up here in the Northern Territory. So I'm going to be speaking to a lot of those teachers who show a lot of interest and enthusiasm with SMART and see if we can't get them to start sharing and jumping on a few webinars as well. The only downfall could be their internet access, but we can definitely try and put something up for them so that it doesn't continuously cut out.
Yeah, and it'd be fantastic to see the students creating games for other schools to use to learn the Tiwi language, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the possibilities are just endless. It's just getting out there and I suppose getting teachers involved and students involved to be able to build a community to do that.
And I think you're doing a great job starting and building that community with these schools. Senator Teresa, Bathurst Island with the teachers in the Tiwi Islands there are doing an incredible job. I know that you have an incredible school out at Wadday, which when we talk remote is very remote. And you have some incredible smart educators, smart teachers out there doing some wonderful things with SMART already. So we really look forward to continuing to share your journey and the teachers' journeys and the students' journeys out there. We'd really love to share some more content and make connections with other schools. So if you are listening and you would love to connect with Courtney or any of these remote schools up in the Northern Territory, please feel free to contact Courtney. We will put her contact details below the recording here. And is this another game, Courtney? Can you talk me through this one?
It must have been covered up by the photos, so I've just moved. So this one was just a identifying the animals using Flip Out, using our little capture tool, which is the best thing in the world, and we just went onto the internet, found the pictures of the animals that the kids would relate to the most. And I've got a little video of the teacher who made this, firstly making it and then taking us through how we pronounce each of those names there. So that's one of our other activities.
And I would assume that you can use this in a bingo hands-on game as well. So using SMART as the tool to run the bingo game with a manipulative at their desks.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Even if they were writing the English word or in reverse as well. So there's so much you can do, and using their language to continue their cultural learning experience is just an amazing thing. So look forward to continuing that work and going remote a few more times this year, preferably when there's no storms around.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Courtney. It was incredible. Congratulations on some fantastic work. Congratulations to the teachers that you've been working with as well for creating some incredible content. We look forward to further seeing your journey. A reminder that if you do want to review this lesson, or it's on our Smarts YouTube channel, the link will be sent to you after the webinar. If you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the questions tab below for Courtney. But I'd like to say on behalf of SMART and the Australian SMART team here, it's been a pleasure working with you, Courtney, and thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today.
Thank you. That's it.
Well, we will leave it there for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us next week for another incredible installment in our ANZ Smart webinar series. Thank you and have a great afternoon.
Everyone. Okay, bye.